Hello, welcome to this video. I was in this video going to talk about meeting difficult experiences from an awakened perspective. And so some of you may have already had experiences of an awakening or a recognition of your ultimate nature as consciousness, as beingness, pure potentiality, whichever name resonates most with you. Recently I've quite liked the presence of God. Weirdly enough, I first began writing and talking about this and really feeling that the word God was not a useful word or pointer simply because of the amount of baggage that comes with it. However, I think when we come to really sort of drop all of our assumptions and connotations and associations with what we might traditionally have thought of as God, it becomes very beautiful and much easier to use that word. The presence of God in particular feels much more evocative of what I experience as pure presence or pure being than perhaps the God of religion or the God of Scripture. So I was going to talk about that and talk about the experience of meeting the challenges of life and meeting the difficulties in life from that perspective, from your perspective as pure being. But perhaps I think what I'd like to do first is just spend some time just exploring that awakened space with you here in this video, exploring within our own beingness, that openness, that emptiness, that open heart within us that is our own being, that heart of presence, if you like. So let's just take a few moments to just get comfortable, find a comfortable position in your chair or wherever you're sitting with whatever device you're watching this on, and just take a few moments to just to rest. And just take a few conscious breaths. Just for these few moments, just resting and just breathing. So, no matter what's going on in the mind, what sort of busyness or thoughts are floating through the mind or streaming through the mind, just for these few moments, we're just going to let them be, and just let those thoughts come and let them go. Whatever they are is fine. Just let them float through or stream through. They might be rushing through, but whatever's happening in the mind in terms of thoughts, just for these few moments, we just rest and breathe and let the mind do what it will. And the same with energies in the body. For now, we'll just let them do as they will while we breathe and rest. And just each time, just turn your attention to just this experience of breathing, just this experience of being there, watching this, listening to this, the experience of sitting, the experience of hearing, of seeing, the sensation of just aliveness in your body, no matter what the mind or bodily energies are doing. Just resting along with that. And as you sit and rest and breathe, just begin to focus your attention on the silence in between the words. So wherever you are, whatever's happening around you, just notice the silence. And there may be sounds. There may be sounds in the room where you are. And just recognize that they're appearing and disappearing and shifting and changing. And all the while, holding that is this silence. The silence in between and behind the sounds. Just see if you can place your attention on that silence. And really open your attention to that silence. No matter what sounds come and go, the silence is always there. And just in these few moments, we're just turning our attention to that silence. And allow that silence to just penetrate into your awareness, penetrate into your entire being. You may even begin to feel that silence in your body. Just keep turning your attention toward that silence or stillness. Just allow that silence and that stillness to penetrate every cell of your body and being. Just notice that whatever sounds are appearing in the room, whatever energies are moving in the body or thoughts appearing in the mind, the silence remains. And the silence is allowing all of those thoughts, feelings, sounds to appear and disappear. Doesn't cling to them, doesn't block them out, doesn't deny them, doesn't really try to do anything with them. It simply allows what is to be. And just dwell there in that silence, in that stillness. And as you continue to pay attention to that silence, allowing it to penetrate and infiltrate your entire being, just notice that silence and that space, that stillness and that silence is not only outside of you, but it's also within. And as you notice the silence and the sounds along with it, the silence and the sounds appearing in it. See if you can notice and recognize how loving that silence is, how supportive it is of the sounds that appear in it, how accepting and unconditional the silence is. Just notice that whatever occurs in your body in terms of energy or sensation or feeling or emotion, whatever words or stories or thoughts appear in the mind, memories, images, words, thoughts, and sounds outside in the world, in the room around you, just notice how that space and that silence is unconditionally open to all that arises, to all that appears and all that disappears. Just feel the support of that silence. Just notice that however you feel, whatever you're thinking, this silence, this stillness and space simply allows it, welcomes it in to this space, provides room for it, listens deeply to whatever appears. To this silence in this space, is deeply attentive to what you feel, whatever sensations you experience, whatever thoughts are arising. Completely, unconditionally open to everything that appears and disappears. And notice that this silence and space is not separate from the things appearing in it. And now bring your attention back to the room, back to where you are, where you've always been, and bring your attention back to the video. Maybe open your eyes if you've had them closed, and just check in now with your body, your mind, your sense of being, your sense of how you feel, and just notice if there's any change. There may not be, for some of you there may not be a great deal of change, but if there has been, just notice if there's any difference between when we first began and now. Spending just a few minutes, just sort of 10 minutes really, resting in that silence. And this is something, this practice really, is just something I do quite frequently. And in particular at times when I feel perhaps overburdened, or distressed, or disturbed in any way by anything that's occurring. It's just to sit with that and just to recognize the silence and the space that it's all appearing in. And for me, this practice, this approach, has been extremely beneficial and helped bring a lot of calm and sensibility and sanity to what can sometimes be a very chaotic experience for many of us through life. We've had difficult relationships, more unpleasant experiences in our lives to do with work, family, home life, work life, or indeed simply being in the world, and perhaps being sensitive to its harshness. And just, certainly for me, I find this an extremely comforting exercise to do. Not simply as something to be done in isolation, but really because there's a knowingness and an awareness, and just a real sense of clarity and understanding, and just deep belief that that presence, that silence, that spaciousness is at the ultimate, most primal level, is what I am. And that all the relative appearances of thoughts and feelings and emotions, and my relative personality, who I am on a relative level, as a personality, a person with a history, a name, characteristics, tendencies, all of that, is welcomed into this infinite, infinitely loving space. And that's something which is an incredible resource for us. I mean, it's strange to call it a resource; it's what we are. But facing difficult experiences, or facing feelings of anxiety or grief or sadness, any sort of distressing experiences, facing those experiences with an awareness and an understanding and a felt experience, a felt known sense that what you are is this silence in which all of those experiences arise and cease. That gives us the courage, and has certainly given me the courage, to truly face whatever is appearing, and sometimes why it's appearing. Sometimes we feel fear or nervousness or anxiety, or we feel sadness, or we feel anger, for really very valid reasons, and sometimes we need to respond. We need to do something about that. If we've been the victim of injustice, or we've been the victim of any wrongdoing, we may need to respond to that and take action in the world. But really responding from this deeper place, from this place where actually there's already a resolution, there's already a solution within the infinite, pure, creative potential that we are. Responding from that place has certainly, for me, been provided much better results, and made my response to those experiences much more skillful. And there's been a great deal of healing around feelings for me of anxiety, feelings of fear, feelings of doubt, feelings of low self-esteem, and whatever they may be. There's been a great deal of healing in simply just recognizing that this infinite space, this heart of presence, the presence of God, is what we are, is what we appear in. It's not just for some special few who have had the grace of awakening bestowed upon them. And really, all we need to do is turn toward that inner silence, that inner space, which can be discovered outside of us as well, in external silence, in external space. Something very, very nice to do is to be in clear, open spaces, in nature, by the sea, in the park, in the woods, out in a field, just simply allowing external space to contact the internal silence and space that is the core of our being, that is our inner heart of unconditional openness. So that's just an example of something that I might do in my own life, to meet difficult feelings, sensations, thoughts that arise, that naturally arise even after awakening. Something that was a shock to me really was that after awakening, after recognizing our true nature, it doesn't, no matter what we thought at the beginning of that journey, it doesn't block out or set you ultimately free from ever having to experience difficulty ever again. The difference is that they're no longer really seen as difficult. So if an emotion is arising within the body, if there's a sensation or a difficult situation, they're not really seen as difficulties anymore, but just life happening. And there's a real confidence and a real trust in that silence, in that core heart of presence, a real trust that it can face anything, and that we as it are much more powerful than we had once thought. So I hope you found that that short practice useful and helpful. It is something I return to again and again, and have found it to be a real comfort and strength in my ordinary everyday life, where things still happen. There's no sort of superhuman being experience from my point of view anyway. I mean, there have been some incredible spiritual experiences that come and go, states of sort of ecstasy or bliss or whatever, but always life continues in its unfolding. In the relative sense, it's just that now there is an understanding and an experience, of life unfolding in its relative sense within the absolute, and that the two are not separate. So thank you for watching, and yes, I hope you are well.